All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Would Alex Highsmith ever be in this conversation here? Back-to-back Defensive Player of the Years for Nick Bosa, or are you picking someone else? That's from the NFL today, and that's our GMC tweet of the night. Pony, maybe if T.J. Watt played an entire year, and like you said, he had 20-some sacks for Alex Highsmith, he would be in that conversation.
Yeah, I would have looked at Alex Highsmith in that scenario, though, and the numbers would have been great, but I would have given T.J. Watt a lot of credit for that. That's probably the thing about T.J. Watt last year, his mere presence, even though his numbers weren't great. Just being in the lineup causes offenses to deploy personnel and people to block him because they're more worried about Watt than they are about Highsmith. I look at Highsmith the same way I looked at Juju early in his career. You had Antonio Brown, so that allowed for Juju to put up big numbers.
Yeah.
And if not for Brown, we saw what Juju was without Antonio Brown. Good receiver, but nothing more than that. No high-end talent. No trait or skill that makes him elite at his position. And I think the same thing is probably true of Alex Highsmith.
All right, so do you think the Steelers do anything here between now and, training camp? I mean, look, I think they're going to try to work a deal out with Highsmith. I don't know what the number will be, but do you think that they potentially might go out and try to find another free agent? I know a couple guys are coming in on tryout basis, but do you think that they'll sign maybe a bigger name, someone, Omar Khan or Andy Whitehead goes out and gets to help this team win?
I don't think that there's really many guys left out there in free agency who play a position where the Steelers have a glaring need. So, no, I think when they brought Marcus Golden in, that gave them the edge rusher depth that they wanted behind Highsmith and Watt. They didn't want lightning to strike twice and have one of those guys get hurt and be left with their pants down, like last year when Watt went down. They had to go make that Reed trade, and he did very little after he came over from Denver. I think the Chase Young thing, hey, Chase Young does not play a position of need. They obviously have Highsmith, but we know how much the Steelers love Chase Young out of college, and I think that they're going to at least do their homework on the guy. We saw them trade for Minkah Fitzpatrick and give up a one, which shocked everybody. But you've got a new sheriff in town in Omar Khan. And I think that they're going to leave no stone unturned in a lot of these situations and really make sure that they don't just dismiss something out of hand and actually make sure that they spend time evaluating the pros and cons of something. So Young is probably going to get traded, probably before the season starts. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Steelers at least looked into it. I don't think they'll ultimately do it. I think another team will offer more. But I think they would be interested just because they hold the player in such high regard.
Yeah, Pony, that's what I wanted to kind of get into was this whole Chase Young thing. What would you have to give up? And you'd have to have a deal in place if you were going to make a trade. You know what? I mean, it's kind of all over the board what you're hearing, what Washington would want for a guy like him. Is it a first-rounder, second-rounder? Maybe a combination of a second and a third and a player. I mean, what is it? What would you be willing to part ways with to get Chase Young? And then the second part of that question is, what would you have to pay the guy? You could never sign Alex Highsmith if you're going to do this.
Yeah, he's going to be a free agent after this year because his fifth-year option got declined. So this is it for him. This is all that's left on his contract. It's like a $11 million deal. And the Steelers have enough cap space to make something like that happen. These guys have gotten traded, these edge rushers have gotten traded for first-round picks, second-round picks, second in multiple picks, or a second and a fourth or a second and a fifth would go back to a team. So that's probably the asking price. I would not do that, for the record. I don't think I'd want to give up a premium pick than have to pay a guy. Like you said, why pay more on defense when you've already invested so much money, the fourth most in football, to that side of the ball? But if it's a rental, like if I got Chase Young for a fourth-round pick and I just had him on my team for this year and then I let him leave in free agency, I was just loading up for 1 year, I would give up a pick like that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I want to see some more offense here and get Kenny Pickett some more help. That's what I think. All right, we got to take a break. Taking your phone calls next, 412-575-2600. Phone lines are open on the Borders and Borders hotline. Back in a couple minutes.